Now I'm going to fast forward through time here, and I'm going to close up my search panel, and I'll even close up this particular document because we're done with it. I made changes, but I don't want to save them. And I'll even close up this document here because I don't need it. In the file set that I've provided for you, which can be found in the Lesson 12 folder of the Part 1 folder that you installed onto your hard drive, there are two documents, and they're representative of a document before and after the changes have been made through a cycle. When a project manager receives a PDF file back that has been changed, it's often a good idea to double check to make sure that it has been changed. So what I'm going to do is open up this version of the document called Budget, and I'll expand its window, and I'll Command Tab back to the folder. Alt Tab would work on a Windows machine if you had the folder open. And I'm also going to open up Budget Changed. If you had to, in a moment's notice, it would be a challenge to discover which items have been changed about this document. Did all of the numbers that you requested to be changed get changed? Well, Acrobat has a really good tool for helping you to determine if in fact the work was done. I'm going to select Window and return to the Budget version of this document, and I'm going to use, under the Advanced menu, the Compare Documents feature. Compare Documents allows me to compare two documents. In this case, this is the older document, and this is a newer document. To set this up, all I did was I opened the two documents, but frankly, if I hadn't opened Budget Changed, I could simply click Choose to locate a document to use for the comparison. And I can compare any two documents. They don't have to have come from the same authoring file or even be anything related to one another, although, of course, if they're not, there'll be a lot of differences and Acrobat will point them out. The Compare Documents feature is really designed to spot those small changes that exist between two documents. The type of comparison that I typically want to use is a detailed analysis. However, if I'm looking for a real quick method to get there, I can do a normal or a coarse analysis. The difference is that it will be faster, but it might not catch some of the smallest details. When I choose detailed analysis, Acrobat is literally going to look at every single pixel that it displays in one document and compare it to every single pixel that it would display in a second document. Any difference is going to be found and then marked up. The color that it uses for the markup is a choice that you make. I'm going to let it be pink, but I could choose another color. For example, it were yellow, because there is a lot of yellow information in this document. I probably wouldn't want to use that, but we'll leave it pink. Another useful way to approach this is to look only to textual differences, and the reason that you might want to do that is because it's faster than a detailed analysis, and if you're comparing two legal documents that are very, very text-based, and you really don't care about the graphics, this can speed things up because it can very quickly find just textual differences. And sometimes, because you might need to consider whether or not an item is bold or italicized or whatever, you may want to include or exclude font information. Again, we're going to do a page-by-page visual difference check because we need to look at every single detail. Last but not least, I'll choose the Compare Report type of side-by-side report because I want to see the documents side-by-side and the report pages side-by-side, just to allow me to look at pages of both documents side-by-side, which makes it easier to do the comparison. I'll select OK. And Acrobat will take, in this case, just a couple of seconds to go ahead and generate the differences, and then it will form another document. This is a third document that isn't a part of the other two documents I compared that includes the side-by-side comparison. So if I scroll down here, I can begin to look at the document changes, and what I'm looking for are pink hexagons. And if you look carefully, you can see that there are hexagons all over this document. This is the original document. These are the changes. To see them more closely, I'm going to use the Zoom tool, and I'm going to zoom in on these changes here. I can see that this digit has been changed, and this digit has been changed. The reason that I like them side by side is because I can then use the little scroll slider over here to move to the other side of the comparison to see what the numbers were. So there was a 6 and a 7. If I go back, I can see that it's now a 7 and a 6. If those were changes that I wanted, good. I can rest comfortably that the work was done, at least in this part of the document. I'll probably want to examine the rest of it. Another way that this comparison feature is very useful is to make sure that someone didn't change a document before you're ready to sign off on it. You can compare the version of the document that you had, the version of the document that they provided, to make sure that they didn't sneak in here with the Acrobat Touch-Up Text tool, for example, and make unapproved changes to the document. Acrobat will catch them for you. And then what's really nice about this is that this is a separate file that I can choose to save. So I'll select File, Save As, and I'll save this to the desktop. And I'm going to call this one changes.pdf and click Save. Once I've done that, I can actually send this off to the person who made the changes and either congratulate them if they made changes I asked them to, or berate them if they made changes that I didn't want them to make.